Imagine you're standing at the top of a hill in the middle of winter, and you've got a tiny snowball in your hands. It's small, almost embarrassing actually. You could hold it in one palm, but you set it down and give it a little push, and something interesting starts to happen. As it rolls, it picks up more snow. It gets a little bigger, a little heavier. And because it's heavier, it moves a little faster, and because it moves faster, it picks up even more snow. By the time it reaches the bottom of that hill, it's massive. What started as something you could hold in one hand has turned into something that could knock over a car. Now here's the thing. That's not just a story about snow. That's a story about how one of the most powerful debt payoff strategies in the world actually works. My name is Adrien, and I spend way too much time thinking about why some people escape debt faster, while others keep working hard, making payments, and watching their balances barely move. If you're tired of debt advice that treats you like a calculator instead of a human being, subscribe, because today we're breaking down the Snowball Method, why it works, how to use it, and how one small payoff can become the first win that changes everything. Let's start by talking about how most people deal with debt. Most people, when they sit down and try to figure out their financial mess, do one of two things. The first thing they do is panic and pay random amounts toward random debts. A little extra here, a little extra there, no real plan, no real strategy. They're just throwing money at the wall and hoping something sticks. Month after month, the balances barely move, and eventually the whole thing feels hopeless. The second thing people do, and honestly this one sounds smarter but it isn't always, is go straight for the biggest debt. The mortgage, the massive student loan, the giant car payment. They throw every extra dollar they have at the biggest number because in their head, that's the most logical thing to do. And here's where it gets interesting. The math-first approach says, pay off whatever has the highest interest rate first. Save the most money over time. Be efficient. Be rational. But here's the problem. Human beings are not calculators. We are emotional creatures who make financial decisions based on how we feel, not just what makes sense on a spreadsheet. And when you're staring down 5 or 6 different debts, and you're sending every extra dollar to one huge account, and watching the balance barely move month after month, your brain starts to give up, motivation fades, the goal feels too far away, you start missing payments, you dip back into old spending habits. The strategy that looked perfect on paper slowly falls apart in real life. That's the trap, and it's where the Snowball Method changes everything. The Debt Snowball Method was made famous by personal finance educator Dave Ramsey, but the psychology behind it goes back even further into how humans are wired to respond to wins, losses, and progress. Here's how it works, and we're going to walk through it with a real example. Let's say someone, we'll call her Jane, is sitting at her kitchen table on a Sunday night with her bills spread out in front of her. She has 5 debts: a small store credit card with a $400 balance, a personal loan with a $1,200 balance, a phone payment plan with a $600 balance, a credit card with a $3,500 balance, a car loan with an $8,000 balance. Total debt? About $13,700. Looking at that number all at once feels like staring at a mountain. With the Snowball Method, Jane does one thing first. She lists her debts in order, from smallest balance to largest. Forget the interest rates for a moment. Forget the monthly minimums for a moment. Smallest to largest. That's the list. Next, she figures out her minimum payments on all 5 debts and makes sure those are covered every single month. No exceptions. She's not ignoring any of them. She's just maintaining them. Then, and this is the key move, she takes any extra money she can find in her budget. Maybe it's $100 a month. Maybe it's $200. And she fires that entire extra amount at the smallest debt first, the $400 store card. She's paying the minimum plus her extra $100 every month, straight at that tiny balance. Within just a few months, that debt is completely gone. Wiped out. Zero. And here's where something important happens inside Jane's brain. She feels something. Not on the spreadsheet, inside herself. A small but real sense of accomplishment. A win. Proof that this thing is actually working. Now what does she do with the money she was sending to that first debt? She doesn't spend it. She rolls it, like a snowball, into her next payment. She takes what she was paying on the $400 card and adds it to the minimum payment on the $600 phone plan. The snowball gets a little bigger. That debt disappears faster. She pays it off. Then she rolls that entire payment amount into the personal loan. The snowball is bigger now. It's moving faster. Each debt that disappears frees up more money for the next one. The attacks get more powerful with every payoff. What started as $100 extra per month turns into an avalanche of cash aimed at that final car loan. That's the snowball. Small at first, almost laughably small, but building momentum with every single roll. Now let's talk about why this actually works, because this is where it gets really interesting. There's a concept in behavioral psychology called variable reward reinforcement. It's why social media is so addictive. You scroll because every so often you get a hit of something rewarding. A like, a comment, a funny video. The reward keeps you coming back. Debt payoff works the same way. When the rewards are too far apart, motivation collapses. If you're putting every extra dollar toward an $8,000 car loan and it takes 2 years to see real progress, your brain starts disconnecting from the goal. It doesn't feel real anymore. It feels abstract. But when you knock out a $400 debt in 3 months, that's a reward. Your brain logs it as a win, a real, tangible, undeniable win. And wins are fuel. There's also something called the progress principle, studied by Harvard researchers Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer. They found that the single biggest driver of motivation, in any domain, not just money, is the feeling of making progress toward a meaningful goal. Not rewards, not praise, progress. The Snowball Method is basically a machine for generating the feeling of progress. You engineered your debt payoff plan to give you small, visible wins as fast as possible. And those wins build a feedback loop that keeps you moving. This is why people who follow this method often describe it as addictive in the best way. They become obsessed with the next payoff. They cut expenses not because they have to, but because they want to, because they want to feed the snowball. The math-first method tries to optimize dollars. The snowball method optimizes human behavior. And in personal finance, human behavior is almost always the harder problem to solve. So what does this actually look like in your life? Here's a simple 3-step action plan. Step 1. Write out every single debt you have. Amount owed, minimum payment, interest rate, all of it. Don't skip anything. The store card, the borrowed money from a relative, the subscription you forgot to cancel that's racking up fees. Get it all on paper or in a spreadsheet where you can see it clearly. Step 2. Order them smallest to largest by balance. Not by interest rate, not by monthly payment, by balance. Smallest first. Step 3. Find your snowball. Look at your monthly budget and figure out how much extra you can realistically throw at debt each month. Even if it's just $20. Even if it's $50. Whatever it is, send it to debt number 1, the smallest balance, every single month, in addition to your minimums on everything else. Then watch what happens. Don't look at the big picture every day. Watch the smallest number fall. Let that be your focus. When it hits 0, celebrate it. Genuinely. Tell someone. Take a moment. Then immediately redirect everything you were paying on that debt to the next one on your list. You are building a snowball. Every payoff makes the next one faster. Every win makes you more committed. Every cleared debt is a reminder that you are not stuck. You are moving. Here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Most people believe that the hardest part of getting out of debt is having enough money. But that's usually not true. The hardest part is staying motivated long enough to actually finish. Because debt doesn't just cost you money, it costs you mental energy. It weighs on you quietly, every single day. Every purchase, every paycheck, every financial decision carries this invisible shadow. The Snowball Method isn't just a payment strategy, it's a psychological one. It's built on the understanding that human beings need to feel like they're winning in order to keep playing the game. And once you feel that first win, once you see that first 0, something shifts. You stop feeling like debt is happening to you. You start feeling like you are happening to the debt. That is the snowball. Small at first, almost nothing. But once it starts rolling, watch out. That brings us to the very end. And to you, yes you, having stayed with us to this very end, I say thank you. And one more thing that is very important. Remember to subscribe, comment your own opinion, like and share for others to learn. Stay blessed and see you in the next one.